Alternation of generations is actually when you go back and forth between a multicellular haploid and a multicellular diploid. All right, the diploid is called a sporophyte here because it produces something called spores, which are going to be on sporangia here. All right, the haploid is called a gametophyte because it produces gametes. All right, so spores are released from the sporophyte here. They develop into gametophytes that then produce gametes. The two gametes unite during fertilization to make a zygote, which then turns into a developing sporophyte. Okay, so that's what alternation of generations is. It's complicated. It's what all the algae undergo. That's all you need to know about it for right now. Rhodophyta are going to be the red algae. They have no flagella. They have no flagellated stages in their life cycle. The redness comes from something called phycoerythrin. So if you talk about erythrocytes, which are red blood cells, that's what they're talking about, is the pigment. But they're not all red, okay? So you see here that they come in many forms. They can be brown, they can be a little bit pinkish, they can actually be a red color. They usually flourish in warm coastal waters, and they're mostly multicellular. They're the other types of quote-unquote seaweed that you would call. They undergo alternation of generations just like all of the algae do. Chlorophyta are going to be green algae here, and they are grouped in a collective group called chlorophytes. So if you hear me say chlorophytes, I'm talking about chlorophyta. They are the green algae. They are the most common recent ancestor of land plants. Okay, of land plants. I said brown algae were the common ancestor of plants. All right, that's different. They flourish in marine and freshwater. Their common ancestor is cyanobacteria, okay, which is the grandfather of all photosynthetic organisms. They are unique in that they form a lot of symbiotic relationships with fungi called lichens, okay, and they are unicellular, multicellular, colonial. They have asexual and sexual stages. Some of them use cellular extensions called, I'm sorry. Okay, common ones that you'll see are going to be Volvix here, which is colonial. Okay, so aside from flagella or cilia to move, some protists will actually use cellular extensions called pseudopodia. All right, most of the pseudopods that we're going to see are going to be heterotrophic and parasitic. Not a lot is known about their phylogeny, but there are a couple that you need to know. Okay, the three that we're going to talk about here. Let's see. Here. Okay, those are Rhizopoda, which are all your amoebas. Actinopoda, which is going to be your heliozoans and your radiolarans, and your foraminifera, which are your forams. Okay, Rhizopoda are going to be amoeba-like. They're unicellular, and they use something called cytoplasmic streaming, which means that they have this extensive cytoskeleton here, and they're going to produce a lot of cytoplasm and outwardly extend it. All right, so here you see that it's going to start capturing this piece of food. All right, it's still called pseudopodia. They live in freshwater and marine environments, and then some of them actually live in the soil. They're free living, and then some, very few, are actually parasitic. Actinopoda are going to be all of your heliozoans and radiolarans. Okay, so they have something called axopodia, which you see here, which are going to radiate outwardly. All right, this is just microtubules that are covered in a coat of cytoplasm. All right, this helps them move. And they're very beautiful to look at. right? These especially, right? The heliozoans are going to be sort of like this glowing color that they give off, and they are also have a little bit of silicone or siliceous and chitinous plates to give them that glassy kind of look as well. All right, so heliozoan means sun animals. All right, these are the ones that we usually find in fresh water, whereas the radiolarians are going to be the ones that we that have that glassy type coloring to them. And the last one of the pseudopods that we're going to talk about are foraminifera, right, which are called the forams or the foramins. These are almost always marine. All right, they're named. Foramen means whole, and so they're named after the porous shells that they have. Their shell is actually made out of calcium carbonate, and they actually, when they die and they cluster together, it's kind of like diatomaceous earth, where they are part of the marine sediment, and they actually form very, very beautiful land formations. Calcium carbonate sort of has that white chalky color. It's what makes up those white cliffs in London. Okay, the last one we're going to talk about are going to be your Mycetozoa, and I'm not really going to be that interested in these because they're the last ones, and I didn't really bother to test you that over them. I just want you to know that they're slime molds. Okay, they call them Mycetozoa. Myceta means fungus, zoa means animal, but they are neither. They fit into neither category. Okay, slime mold reinforces this, belief that they are related to fungi, but they're really not. Okay, it's all convergent evolution. All right, but the ones that I want you to know, you have to know that Myxogastrida are the plasmodial slime modes, and that Dictosplenidae are going to be your cellular slime molds. And that concludes chapter 28. All right, that's what I'm going to be testing you guys over. They have this good little table right here in the back that sums up a lot of what I've already said. I know it's a lot to try and take in and remember, but this will help you a lot on the test. All right, so I will be back on Tuesday. We will review for your test on Wednesday, and we will start chapter 29 on Thursday.